When video game characters need their injuries to be healed, there tends to be one of four tropes we see utilized to do so: medicine, magic, food, and doctors or nurses. But for some reason, from what I've seen, nurses are more prevalent. That being said, not every nurse in video games goes by the expected video game mechanics. Some join in the action or take their job to the extreme, healing you with some method we wish existed in reality. Others go the complete opposite direction by fulfilling the visual tropes of being a nurse, but not the necessities of their job. So for this video, I'll be counting down the best video game nurses, with their rank depending on how qualified they are in being a nurse, based on what we see in their respective video games. So you want a good ranking on this list? Just do your job right and maybe bring something extra to the table, since we are in a video game after all. And yeah, some of the characters I showed in this intro were not from video games, but don't worry, everyone on this list will be from them. So let's go! The top 10 nurses in video games. Number 10. The nurses from Silent Hill. The Silent Hill nurses' qualifications are non-existent. Now, the nurses in Silent Hill are based off the deep psychological story of the character we play as, likely created due to the real-life nurses the character saw in the hospital. However, to take these nurses at face value, or lack of face value, they show horrible medical procedures by constantly trying to kill the character. This one has a metal pipe. When has this ever been shown to be a standard medical tool? If this was a list of iconic nurse characters where credentials did not matter, they may have gotten a better ranking. But instead, these nurses should, well, stop trying to kill for starters. Number 9. Nurse Morgan from Gem Fighter. Morgan's qualifications are highly questionable. Since this is one of my video game lists, you know you can expect some fighting game characters here. However, I highly doubt Morgan's medical resume. Morgan is a succubus who is heir to the Makai with a bunch more backstory no one seems to care about ever since Capcom made her that character that just appears in crossovers. Morgan never turned into a nurse in the Darkstalkers fighting games, but in the comedic fighting game Super Gem Fighter Mini Mix, where Capcom characters are fighting in their chibi form and attacking you with both their normal attacks and references to other Capcom games or just random things, Morgan changes outfits in her attacks to reflect various different professions. She dresses as a maid, a waitress, and of course a nurse. I'm starting to think these costumes are just for show. She uses tools you might find in a hospital as weapons, like a thermometer and an IV, and she even has a wheelchair to assist patients, so I guess she can be helpful. Of course, the best weapon she uses as a nurse might be her giant syringe. I don't think it's filled with something for healing though, since it just causes damage. It's filled with only green. Number 8. Cinnamon from Mega Man X Command Mission. Cinnamon's qualifications are good, but she does not have the resume I'd hoped for. This is Mega Man X's RPG style game, and Cinnamon's primary appearance in the series. Her backstory is that she was created to specifically rebuild other Reploid robots, which is why she was given a nurse-like appearance. However, you don't see her doing too much of that on your team, as in she doesn't have anything really in the terms of healing that you'd hope for from an RPG partner. She does have a tool called the 4 Metal Generator, which ultimately is the tool that upgrades armor and skill, but that just makes her a catalyst rather than someone who actually does the upgrading. Her attacks don't really have anything to do with the medical profession either. Her main attacks involve slapping the opponent, so all of her weapons and upgrades are gloves that improve that slapping. She does have syringe gloves though, that inject viruses into the opponent, so once again we have a Morgan situation where they don't actually heal. Her strongest weapons are kitty gloves, that just scratch, nothing really nurse themed there. Maybe Cinnamon's creator really needed to study up on medicine before building her. Number 7. Alice from Bloody Roar. Alice's qualifications have potential. Bloody Roar is a fighting game where you transform into giant animals mid-battle. Alice has the power to turn into a giant uncanny rabbit. In the second game, she went to school to become a nurse and eventually became one. However, the conflict of the game involving an evil organization of humans who have these animal powers crept into Alice's life, and now she must fight against them. While I can assume Alice was a good nurse based on her position in the medical world, she leaves that behind to join the world of coexistence, which is dedicated to improving relations among average humans and the transforming ones. I think sticking to your occupation as a nurse would have been a more fruitful career path, since I don't think the world of coexistence is very active anymore, considering Bloody Roar has not seen a new game since 2003. In terms of her playstyle, it's not very nurse-like. She fights you with martial arts and rabbits. That being said, her outfit in the second game and alt in the third game is a standard nurse's outfit that her rabbit form also wears. So at least we are reminded of her profession if we decided to skip all the backstory parts in that arcade mode. Number 6. Fanny from Guilty Gear Petit. Fanny's qualifications are unknown. Despite that, I can tell she's actually a good nurse with her underdeveloped backstory. All we know is that she was likely the nurse for Dr. Baldhead in the Guilty Gear series and is on the search for him after he disappeared. And since Dr. Baldhead was a successful doctor before he went bad then good again, I would imagine he had the right team around him. If you've played the main Guilty Gear games and never heard of her, I can't blame you, since she was only playable in Guilty Gear Petit 1 and 2, which had a funny chibi fighter style similar to Gem Fighter, exclusively released for the Wonder Swan color. And if you've never heard of the Wonder Swan color, welcome to the club. Her fighting style is pretty similar to Baldhead's, with some of her own style mixed in. Unlike some of the other fighters on this list that seem to only use their tools to hurt opponents, she seems good-natured in some of her attacks. Of course, she has to attack you with a syringe, but the contents inside might actually be a vaccine or something else good, since instead of injecting you with it, she shoots it like a machine gun. The point is, it's not like a green liquid that's unconfirmed like the other syringes we've seen on this list. Plus, some of her other moves show she can just be a little rough with the healing process instead of just trying to harm you, like when she aggressively wraps you in bandages, or her instant kill where she butt bounces you into an ambulance, then stuff happens and the opponent is knocked out of the ambulance and then actually knocked out. I'll conclude that she's just really good at her job. Number 5. The Nurse in Terraria. This nurse's qualifications are not too bad. Terraria is not my type of game, but this nurse has my type of snarkiness I can respect. You pay her and she heals you, simple as that. She's obviously good at her job, but we don't know what she does to heal you, so I can't really tell you what her method is of restoring hearts. It's probably loads of medicine or magic or something like that. A clue on her technique may lie in some of her lines where she references sewing the character back together, so maybe she does a lot more than the 16-bit graphics can portray. And as I said, she gets pretty snarky if you ask her to be healed when you're not that injured, with lines like, "Walk it off, you'll be fine. You look half digested. Hurry up and stop bleeding. You better not get blood on me. Hold on, I've got some cartoon bandages around here somewhere. And would you like a lollipop?" I like to imagine that last line is sarcastic. Number 4. Kyoko Minazuki from Rival Schools. Kyoko's qualifications are solid, but she should really use them in-game more. Kyoko is one of the staff members in Rival Schools, being the school nurse. However, unlike some of the other characters that reflect their hobbies or occupations in their fighting style, Kyoko is just a good fighter, as in nothing awkwardly related to her profession. I mean, she's probably good at her job since she knows using medical tools in a fight would not work to her advantage, but I do like when characters bring their profession to their moveset. Still, she does occasionally. She hits the opponent with her clipboard, which is a good secondary use for a clipboard. And she'll actually heal the opponent, unlike some other fighters on this list, by performing some form of acupuncture on her teammate to heal him. She knows the right places to utilize these skills. The story says she eventually becomes the chemistry teacher, so she's moving up in the world. The story also says many male students faked being sick so they could go see her for, reasons. Number 3. Angie from Trauma Center. Angie's qualifications are robust and varied. Of course, that's what I would expect when you're in a game about a surgeon who actually performs legitimate surgery. Trauma Center is a fun, but probably not accurate surgery simulator that utilizes the motion controls on the Wii, or the touchscreen if you played the DS version, which did come out first. In the first game and its Wii remake, Angie is the main character, Dr. Styles' main nurse. Once you take the role of the main character, she's with you all the time and gives you the guidance you need. Like when you mess up something, she'll yell at you to focus. I didn't need that, Angie. The game just made a gross squish noise. I get that I did not do it right. Just give me a chance. You're startling me. As the game's soap opera story mode continues, she goes from not trusting Styles, due to his seemingly lax nature, to trusting him as they save more lives together from the scientifically magical diseases. She helps you perform surgery on a plane at one point. That's a pretty hard feat. These tools she hands us are used to defeat absurd viruses that act like boss battles, so it may seem like she's helping with reality-based surgery, but really she's stopping what could lead to the destruction of all life by telling me to pay attention better and handing me that scalpel. Number 2. Valentine from Skullgirls. Valentine's qualifications are actually pretty good. I mean, I wouldn't trust her if she wanted to help me with my ailments when she says, "Tell me where it hurts." But her track record is not as bad as what you'd expect. While she does attack you with medical tools that are supposed to be used for other purposes, she at least uses the bone saw correctly. She's trying to saw through the opponent's bones, which is a variation of the intended purposes. I'm not too sure what she's filling those syringes with, though. I know the effects, and one is definitely poison. However, her backstory shows she has always been a team player. She was initially part of the organization The Last Hope, which was a band of nurse ninjas that were aiming to take down the Skullgirl. After all her allies were killed by the Skullgirl, Valentine was forced to work for the Skullgirl. However, she used this opportunity for her own personal research. While she was quote-unquote loyal to the Skullgirl, she was also helping brain drain in the anti-Skullgirl experiments, and ultimately trying to accomplish her goal of eliminating the Skullgirl. Tired of the word Skullgirl yet? Valentine is immoral, no doubt, but she will put everything into helping her team, even if she is looking to betray them for the greater good. The reason this is notable is because Valentine can be a valuable asset to your playable team, since she has the best medical tool to help. If you use the maximum amount of meter, 5 bars, she will take out a defibrillator and revive a fallen teammate if used on their body, which stays on the field after they are defeated. As a bonus, an opponent in range will get hurt by this, but it's the fact that she selflessly revives her teammate that makes her the best fighting game nurse that finds a balance of fighting and healing. Basically, all of her attacks have a medical theme, like where she writes a prescription or performs major surgery that just seems to injure the opponent. I guess it's exploratory. All in all, she really utilizes every medical tool you could think of, and is not a bad person in the end, despite her practices. I won't spoil that for you though. Number 1. This nurse may not be heavy on in-game backstory, but that's okay. The Pokemon Center nurses from the Pokemon games. The Pokemon Center nurses' qualifications are excellent, despite the fact they have not done much on screen for us. While she is technically unnamed, many of us know her as and call her Nurse Joy because of the anime, and that's what I'll be calling her in this segment. I'll also have screenshots of the anime Nurse Joy up in this segment since she's a bit more expressive than the originally 8-bit nurse. Nurse Joy is a staple of the Pokemon games. One of the first mechanics you are introduced to in each game is healing your Pokemon at the Pokemon Center, where Nurse Joy sits all day long to help you at your convenience. Now normally I pick just one nurse for each choice, but as you can deduce, each nurse must be a different person. If we turn to the anime, we learn that each nurse is related to each other, explaining why it appears the same nurse is at each Pokemon Center in different towns that are miles apart. You can also start rumors that she has teleportation powers and is really just one person, or you can say she's an Olympic athlete that travels from town to town faster than the protagonist. I'll stick with the fact that Nurse Joy 1 is the sister of Nurse Joy 2 and cousin of Nurse Joy 8. Regardless of the Nurse Joy you visit, the result is always the same. I have a poisoned Aerodactyl, burned Swoobat, frozen Aggron, a Jumpluff that straight up fainted, a Seviper that's close to fainting, and a Poliwhirl. He's just fine. He doesn't need anything. How can you help all of these Pokemon at once in a timely manner? Well, she just places them on her machine and one do later, everyone is at full health, ready to fight again with no issues or permanent ailments that will come to plague them later in life. Nurse Joy's a miracle worker, not only healing Pokemon fast, but finding a universal method to heal Pokemon with completely unrelated ailments. How does the same machine that heals poison also solve the issue of being frozen in a block of ice? Maybe there was another inventor behind this magical machine, but without any evidence, I have to assume Nurse Joy is responsible for such fast and proficient medical attention. Her only flaw is after each healing session, she'll always say, "Hope to see you again." What do you mean by that line, miss? I understand wanting to have a polite goodbye line, but just tell me to have a nice day. Do you have a dark side wanting to see my Pokemon get injured? Is that your method of tough love, knowing that means I'm putting them hard at work? Do you just have to reach a certain quota per day of Pokemon healed? Or maybe the Pokemon Center just hosts fun events for all trainers and she's simply inviting me to that. I'm game, as long as there's cookies there. It's all my Aerodactyl eats, it's weird. Anyway, overanalyzed flaws aside, Nurse Joy may just be the greatest nurse in gaming, at least on this list. So what do you think? Agree? Disagree? Are there any nurses I left off this list that should get some recognition? Let me know. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hey, fun fact time! Nurse Joy was a main subject of the Pokemon song Two Perfect Girls, sung by Brock at the end of some episodes of the Pokemon English dub during the first Johto season. If Nurse Joy is the subject of a video you are making, the song randomly gets stuck in your head. I've had Jenny, oh Jenny, Joy, oh Joy, a one-woman man's what I wanna be, but there's two perfect girls for me, stuck in my head for days now. And now I never sing again because I cannot sing. Hope that entertained you. Have a good day.